Safe, unsafe, safe, unsafe. If you've ever felt this way, then you will be familiar with the term called emotional whiplash. The feeling that 1 minute everything's great and you're feeling fantastic and safe and supported and loved, and then the next minute it's the exact opposite. It's fear, dread, unpredictability, emotionality, and if you have ever gone through this, it is absolutely exhausting. Here are some steps that you can do to help you resolve that. And then once we've worked through these steps and looked at how you can handle the situation at hand, we'll also consider at what point do you decide to stop investing or diversify your investment into other sources of safety. Number one, ensure you are grounded. It's highly likely if you are feeling that emotional whiplash that you won't be feeling grounded in that moment. You will be really in the negative affect state and probably feeling very reactive. So in that situation, it's really important that you come out of the fear state because you want to respond in a calm, considered, non-reactive manner. Otherwise, you're going to make the problem worse. So you could do some breath work. You could go for a walk. You could go for a swim, go to the gym, go for a run. Something that gets you into your body and then out of your head. No, don't get out of your head. Don't go to a bar. Don't go and buy a bottle of vodka or numb it. But stay present, but get into your body in some way. I think actually, and this happened to me earlier, and I was sat in a cafe with my notepad and coffee, and then I had this reactive state, and like the journaling thing wasn't working because journaling is quite, prefrontal cortex heavy. So I decided put some music on, I went on the scooter, and then had a little bit of a drive around, and it's very physical. You can feel the sun, you got the music, we got the feeling of wind, the engagement in my muscles and sitting on the bike or whatever. So that definitely helped me feel better. So use your own example in that case. And I would add maybe one preceding step to that, depending on the urgency and the pace of this emotional whiplash situation. Acknowledge the whiplash and say, I hear you, message received. Please allow me 20, 30 minutes, an hour before I respond in full. I'd like to gather my thoughts first. So something respectful, acknowledge what the other person is saying, and then give yourself that buffer to be able to go and clear your head. What you don't want to do is react in the same at the same velocity as the other person in this scenario. After you've grounded yourself, you will then be in a much more calm and pragmatic headspace to be able to assess all of the data points that you're receiving, to be able to analyze it a little bit better. Step 2 would be to do your best to put yourself into the other person's shoes. Really consider it from their perspective and try to understand as much as possible where they are coming from and what is likely driving that fear, what is driving this disease at the situation, so that you can get a much better, wider angle, better vantage point to assess what's going on here. After you've done that, it's likely you've probably uncovered some things in which you are somewhat culpable in. So step 3 would be to think about, where are the parts which I bear responsibility for this reaction? This could be as simple as a misunderstanding. So a message you've sent, something you've said that even wasn't intended as that, and could be something that's been a cause of this. So looking at that, it's likely that you can't find anything. And maybe you are literally in a situation of total innocence. And then that will make this much harder to as a pill to swallow, right? So step four would be first to acknowledge you've already done the exercise to put yourselves in their shoes. So I would acknowledge that. I feel like you are feeling X. I can understand you must be feeling Y. If I was in your situation, I would also feel Z, you know, and then move on to the culpability piece. I could have said X better, or I think maybe you've misunderstood what I said. I was meaning X. In that case, I would just acknowledge the feeling and ask questions like, help me help you. Is there anything I could have done differently so that I can look to resolve this with you? Do you have any thoughts on how we can solve this together? How can I help? What do you want from me in this moment? I'm willing to work with you on this. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, depending on the scenario which you're plugging this into, well, why should I stand for this? Like, why should I have to be the one who's doing all this analyzing and watching a YouTube video on how to respond? Why couldn't the other person do that? And that will be, I think, a question that you have to answer for yourself in terms of like, how much are you willing to invest effort into this relationship to resolve it, and how much is the other person investing? That could be emotional investment, it could be physical investment, it could be literal money investment if it's a business relation or something. You know, if that person is investing a lot of money in you to do X thing, then they're not really as emotionally responsible for it, right? But if it is a more an emotional relationship, then that is the currency of the connection, is the emotional piece. And therefore you look at the balance of the emotional effort that's being given in either direction to assess whether you're going to put up with that situation. I think where this gets complicated is on this reliance piece in terms of the split that you have on the emotional safety, the physical safety, etc. Because if you are reliant upon one single person for emotional and physical safety, and they are unpredictable, unreliable, that is a extremely poor situation to find yourself in. If, on the other hand, you are self-reliant in another area, or less reliant upon one person, let's say for income, but you are reliant upon one person mainly for your emotional attachment, right? Your partner or whatever, then at least you can have a little bit of balance. Like, if ideally you still don't want them to be unpredictable, but at least you have like the physical safety piece sorted. Maybe you have your own business, etc. The However, one of the worst situations to be in is feeling like, one, the physical safety piece or the source of physical safety is unstable and unpredictable, and two, the source of emotional safety and stability is also unstable and unpredictable. Then you are going to be constantly in this state of whiplash. I think if you've gone through these steps, you will be in a much healthier position by the end of it in terms of exactly what's going on in this interaction. And then when you also bring in the reliance piece and the diversity piece in terms of how much you're reliant upon one single source for this emotional, physical safety piece, then you can consider whether you need to just simply invest more into this one particular source, or whether you maybe to invest elsewhere into other sources of this safety. All right, so I'm going to wrap this all up for you so you don't have to go back and take notes. Next time you feel this emotional whiplash, here is the sequence. Step one, acknowledge and buy yourself the buffer. Message them, I've heard you, I hear you, I understand. Give me 20, 30 minutes just to gather my thoughts, and I'll respond properly to you then, because you never want to respond at the same emotional velocity as them, because you're just going to make it worse. Step two, now use the buffer to ground yourself. So whatever you can use to get you into your body, that might be a swim, that might be a cold plunge, that may be a scooter ride, something that gets you out of your head and into the present. Step three is to get into their shoes. What do you think is driving their fear? Really sit with that and try and understand it from their point of view. Step four, what is my part in it? Check your culpability status. It's likely that you found something within that where you might be culpable. If not, and there's literally nothing you've done, harder pill to swallow. And then that's where we look at how much you're looking to invest in this. Step five, make sure you acknowledge them either way. Acknowledge how they're feeling after you've done the exercise of being in their shoes, and then acknowledge any part that you might have had in this tension, and also look at any possible things that were inferred in the wrong way. And then make sure you ask, how can we solve this together? Be proactive, ask for questions. What can I do differently next time? How can I see this from your perspective? Help me to help you. There's no way that that's not going to diffuse and move this forward in a positive manner. And then once the dust settles, I would zoom out and just ask yourself the bigger question. How many different baskets is your safety sitting in? Because here's the thing, you can't stop people from being unpredictable, but what you can stop is your safety living in one unpredictable place. So that's all from me today. I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments below if you did so, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next one.